We're going to be working on the offset kettlebell walks and squats. This is something I picked up from Dr. Andrew Locke out of Australia. When I was rehabbing my back, we had to bring back my stability. And sometimes before I squat or after I squat, this is necessary to make me feel a lot more stable and to, regain that balance in myself and my body. Because I have a really unstable spine after years and years of powerlifting and all the other athletic things I did growing up. So right now we're using a bamboo bar. The lighter the bar is, the better it's going to be for this exercise. Now, also know that if you're really affected in your back and you're really hurting, you might not be ready for that yet. So the things that affect this exercise, size of the bar and how heavy it is, because the heavier bar is going to have more inertia, the size of the band, the size of the kettlebell, and how far out it is from the center, okay? First thing to caution is when you're setting this up, notice I have the bar slid over in the rack, because if it's over here, it can start to get a little bit scary for staying in the rack. So I just slide it over to kind of help me out a little bit. Now, if you move this out and you make it really, really challenging, when you put it on, just go ahead and put your hand on the bar so it doesn't start to pop out of the rack. And then you can walk over and you can get set up. So we're going to get set up on this bar. We've got our kettlebell hanging on my left side. We're going to do 10 steps back and 10 steps forward, and then rotate it to the other side and do it again. One thing that's super important about this drill is it's way harder than you think it's going to be, and you need to treat it like it's your max. So every time I get under this, I have to think about bracing through the whole movement, because there's going to be constant pressure on my core to make me counteract this weight that's on my left side. So my right side is going to be working like hell to try to keep up. Okay, we're going to get stable. We're going to brace. And we're going to start walking. And we have to hold that brace through the whole movement. Now I can talk and hold my brace at the same time, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of practice for me. So you're bracing and you're walking and you're stabilizing that kettlebell the whole way. And we're going to take 10 steps back and 10 steps forward and then repeat it on the other side. And we'll do that 2 or 3 times so that we either feel warmed up or so that we're ready to leave the gym and be stable when we go home. So have you ever told somebody that your back doesn't feel good, or it feels janky, or maybe your hips and your back are just not interacting well together? I feel that way about every day. And one of the ways that I bring that all back together is I like to put a band around my knees. So where you wear the band and what kind of band you choose is optimal here, okay? You don't want too big and too thick a band so that you can't use it, and you don't want too small a band that it's not giving you help. Okay, so let's say you're doing side steps on the turf. You might want to use a bigger, thicker band because you can do more. Now, the higher it is on your legs, the less your glutes are going to have to work. The lower it is on your legs, the more your glutes are going to have to work because you're creating a longer lever. Okay, so just know that when you're using your band and when you're choosing your band. One thing you can do if you don't feel very good, enter the gym, put one of these on, and just walk around and proceed with your warm-up like you would. And your glutes are going to thank you because it's providing proprioception around your knees, which means it's giving you pressure to force you to externally rotate and use those glutes when you normally might not be using them that efficiently. So feel free to put that band on. Me personally, I did almost all my squats with a band around my knees as well in prep for my last meet when I recovered from my back injuries, because I had to have that on almost every single set in order to make my glutes fire all the time and protect my spine while I was squatting. So when you're squatting with a band, you have to choose a pretty small one because your knees are going to be pretty spread out. You don't want that band to change your pattern. So pick the right band, use them often, get a new one every single year, and you'll thank yourself. One thing I've really noticed a lot lately, especially with beginners, we had a whole group of 65 high school athletes at my gym, Strong Barbell Club in Kansas City recently, and we watched all the athletes squat, and what we noticed consistently is they needed to slow down. When I talk to athletes about pacing their squat, because it's so important for all your stability and for your whole system to work correctly, that you're not putting it under extra stress just because you're being fast. Yes, we want to move quickly, but we also want to be under control. My favorite squatter to watch under control is Joe Sullivan. I've gotten to see 3 of his all-time world records in person, and the pace that he squats at and the control that he has demonstrated over and over and over to be optimal. So slow down your squats. Also, if you're working on your technique, slow them down even more. Add in a pause. The more inexperienced you are, the more you should slow that down and pay attention to the movement.